my name is Victoria, and I will be presenting the illustrator Yoshitaka Amano for the GRC 316 illustration presentation. For a general biography, he is 72 years old, up to date. His birthday was March 26, 1952, and his birthplace was in Shizuoka, Japan. In terms of his active years as an illustrator, he has been working from 1967 up until today. In terms of marriage and children, I could not find anything online, so as far as we know, he is a pretty single dude. The start of his career was when he was 14 years old and he went to visit one of his friends in Tokyo. He then boldly presented his work to the Tatsunoko Pro Animation Studio, which was close by. They were responsible for some of these shows, Space Ace and Match Go Go Go, which were both quite popular at the time. After presenting his work, he was granted a job offer pretty much right then and there. He did undergo a year of training. Somewhere around 15, he started his career with the company, and he had stayed there pretty much up until his late 20s. Some of the most notable contributions for the company were in Gatchman, Hutch the Honeybee, and Kashan the Robot Hunter. Here are a few examples of his work. Alrighty. After working with the company up until his late 20s, pretty much on 30 on the dot, he then decided to resign from the company, kind of recognizing a need to be seen directly as an illustrator, so he decided to go into the freelance world. Was not advised financially to do it, but once your life is too stable, your creative dies, is something that he has stated. He began gaining a community of followers after publishing a collection of paintings. This was in the curation Matin Evil Universe, which was published through the Japanese publication Science Fiction magazine. This following and the eyes sort of seen for his personal illustrative works had then gained him proposals to work with creating book illustrations for novels. Some of the most notable works that he's been with these sort of writers in collaboration was the Gruen Saga and Vampire Hunter D. Here are a few examples of those works, Vampire Hunter D and the Gruen Saga. He was also proposed during this time, around 1984, to work with the director Mamoru Oshii. They worked together to create the animated film Angel's Egg, and the movie is now a cult hit in Japan. I've seen clips. It's a bit odd to follow, but people do love it. Now, kind of getting to a good meat of his career was his contributions to game design and world building. Amano was approached within the 80s and working up until the 90s, I could even say to the 2000s, by one of the directors of Square Enix, a gaming company. Hironobu Sakaguchi, so Mr. Sakaguchi right here, was the head of game design, production, development, and overall was one of the head directors for the company, had approached Amano to create a fantastic universe. Amano also had relative creative freedom to make his work. Creating characters, monsters, illustrations, and various game visuals, he helped create some of the most iconic designs for the company's hit series Final Fantasy. Here are a few examples of his works for Final Fantasy. Some monster design right here. This character is the Behemoth. I also pulled some more examples to show more world building in his work, so you could see these characters placed within environments. Currently, Amano is now trying to focus on establishing himself in the fine arts sort of atmosphere. Granted, he's worked with animation, illustration, character design, game design, so on and so forth. He has 2 exhibitions currently within the creation of this presentation, one in Milan at the Fabbrica del Vapor, and one at the Art Hall Baltimore Gallery, which is showcasing his collection of work titled Apocalypse, one of those pieces being presented right here. Noted from one of his basically interviews that I pulled a lot of information from, he notes these artists to have a lot of influence on his work. I see a lot of Gustave Moreau and Alphonse Mucha influencing his pieces. Da Vinci, not so much, but I could see these as influences. In terms of observations that I've pulled and why I selected this artist, he pulls a lot of influences from Western fantasy, even though his art features a lot of slendered human forms that are often pale with small, long faces, which is very traditional Japanese style. This sort of blend is very unique in his style. He uses high contrast in coloring, a lot of dark muted tones, which is often paired with these bright bursts of colors. He uses organic and loose forms in his art, and some of his compositions for his more larger piece have spiritual-like compositions. Most of his works, I see the use of long brushstrokes and washes of color through ink, so I believe he likes sort of the watercolor. He is well versed in a lot of mediums, however. Here are the references that I pulled for this presentation, and that is all that I have. Thank you.